PIAA Podcast, Trib Live High School Sports Network, getting you ready for the PIAA Championship games. Not the PIA, all right? It's PIAA. Just like locally, it's not WPIAL. It's WPIAL. Please, I beg. Anyway, welcome aboard. We are looking ahead to the six state championship games, three of which will have WPIAL representatives playing for state gold. Our little podcast get-together here is presented by Edgar Snyder and Associates. Go local, go with Edgar, helping injured people since 1982. EdgarSnyder.com. They have been sponsoring our playoff coverage since the start of the WPIAL postseason. All right, Chapman Field, Cumberland Valley High School in Mechanicsburg, the site once again of all six championship games, 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. We're going to go from 6A to 1A for no apparent reason. 6A championship game. This is the 10th Class 6A and Class 5A PIAA championship game. 2016 was the first time they expanded to 6 classifications from 4 classifications. The 10th one in 6A. This is the very first time that St. Joe's Prep has not appeared in the championships. 9 championship games. They're 7-2. The powerhouse from District 12. But another District 12 team will be on Chapman Field come Saturday evening at 7 p.m. It's the Explorers of LaSalle College, not once, twice defeated St. Joe's Prep this season, once in the regular season, once in the Philly Catholic League championship game. So the Explorers have earned their trip to the championship game, their first state championship appearance, the 12-1, not their first state, but first 6A state championship appearance. 12-1 for LaSalle College. They've won 8 consecutive games since suffering their only loss of the season back in week 4 to Class 5A finalist Roman Catholic. Their opponent, the WPL champions, the Central Catholic Vikings, second straight year. Vikings lost to St. Joe's Prep in the 6A title game last year. 13 consecutive wins for Ryan Laymeyer's Vikings since their only loss of the season back in week 0 at the Wolverina in Turtle Creek. It was LaSalle College knocking off Central Catholic. Who knew? I think some people felt that it might be a preview of the state championship game. LaSalle College winning that game by a score of 23-6. It was a rough game in week 0. His first varsity start, Owen Herrick, the quarterback for Central Catholic, threw for only 100 yards and a touchdown. Roman Thompson limited to 53 yards rushing. Also in that game, Chris Black Jr. was injured, what would be an on-again, off-again injury with his hamstring, Gavin Sidwar, the Missouri recruit or commit, threw for 2 touchdowns for the Explorers. Azir Nelson had a 5-yard touchdown run in that victory for LaSalle College over Central Catholic. 6th trip to the state playoffs for the Explorers. All-time record 9-4. They are 1-1 in state championship games. Again, this is their first 6A title game. Way back in 2009, they defeated State College for their only PIAA championship, 24-7. That was in Class 4A. And then a year later in the 4A state title game, 2010, they lost to North Allegheny by a score of 21-0. Meanwhile, Central Catholic, they have had great success in the PIAA postseason. They are 21-6 all time in the state playoffs, 4-4 in the state championships. very first Quad A, as it was known then, state championship in 1988. Central Catholic defeated Cedar Cliff to win the first. They didn't even win the WPIAA championship. Upper St. Clair won it in 1988, elected not to participate in the first ever state playoffs. Central Catholic, the team that USC beat, said, yeah, okay, we'll go. And they ended up winning the state championship. They also won state gold in 2004, beating Neshaminy. They shut out Parkland in 2007 for their third state title, and they beat the Trojans again 8 years later in 2015 for their fourth. They're looking for title number 5 on Saturday night. Kickoff at 7 o'clock at Chapman Field for LaSalle College and Central Catholic. The earlier game on Saturday, the 1 p.m. kickoff, is a rematch of last year's 3A championship game, and what a marvelous contest that was between Avonworth and Northwestern Lehigh. Overtime in the 2024 3A championship game. The Tigers 36, the Antelopes 33. Northwestern Lehigh led by Shane Lay, a junior then, a senior this year. He threw for 111 yards and a touchdown. Luca Neal, he ran wild, the junior, now senior, 252 yards and 4 touchdowns, and yet the Antelopes could not win. In overtime, the Tigers defense stiffened, holding Avonworth to a field goal, and then Northwestern Lehigh won the game on a short touchdown run, 36-33, one of the great championship games. So only right that we should get the rematch, and both these teams have been perfect in 2025. Northwestern Lehigh 15-0, champions of District 11. Avonworth 14-0. A lot of comparisons. The Tigers have now won 4 straight District 11 championships. They're appearing in their 3rd straight state championship game and trying to win back-to-back PIAA titles. Avonworth, they've appeared in 4 straight WPL championships, have won back-to-back District 7 titles, and they are appearing in their 2nd straight PIAA championship game, looking for that elusive state title. They're 0-2 in state title games, losing heartbreak fashion last year, losing in embarrassing fashion in 2019. They were whooped pretty good by Southern Columbia in the 2019 2A championship game. Lost that one big. What was it, 74-7 or something like that? It was 74-7. Southern Columbia with the win, but that's a distant memory as Avonworth shoots for state gold. Antelopes beating District 6 champion Penn Cambria last week by a score of 31-15. Another big game for Luca Neal in that victory. He had 115 yards receiving and a touchdown. And running out of the Wildcat formation, he ran for 141 yards and 2 scores. Carson Bellinger, the quarterback for the Antelopes, 253 yards and 2 touchdowns in that victory. Northwestern Lehigh gets back to the state finals with a convincing 48-13 win over Camp Hill Trinity. Shane Lay, a Marist commit, 27. This is in the 2 state playoff games for Northwestern Lehigh, Scranton Prep, and Camp Hill Trinity. He is 27 of 31 passing, only 4 incompletions, 417 yards, and 8 touchdowns. They have a good running back as well. And Braxton Lakatosh, 158 yards and 3 touchdowns last week in the win for Northwestern Lehigh. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff. Northwestern Lehigh against Avonworth. Both teams combined 29-0. Northwestern Lehigh, undefeated last year, undefeated this year. The last time they lost was in the PIAA championship game, 2023. They lost to Bell Vernon. have won every game since. So they are on a roll trying to repeat as 3A champions. The other WPIAL team in action gets things rolling Thursday, 1 o'clock at Chapman Field. It'll be the Clairton Bears, winners of the WPIL, against Bishop Guilfoyle Academy, the Marauders, champions of District 6. Bishop Guilfoyle 13-2 overall. Clairton 14-1. Bears have won 14 straight since losing to Class 3A Imani Christian way back in week 0. Marauders have won 5 straight. They lost in week 9, the regular season finale, to Bishop McCourt. Their only other loss was back in week 1 to Richland. And both Richland and Bishop McCourt were powers in District 6. They were the 2 finalists, in fact, in District 6 Class 2A. So against Class A competition, perfect season for Bishop Guilfoyle Academy. They are led by the coach's son. The head coach is Justin Wheeler. His son, Justin Wheeler, is a sophomore quarterback. Jeff Thompson on the other side for Clairton, Jeff Thompson the third, the quarterback for Clairton. He is a senior and has had a pretty strong season, including last week, 170 yards in the air and a touchdown. Didn't have to throw that often as Clairton destroyed District 10 champion Greenville 57-0. Meanwhile, Bishop Guilfoyle with a 35-0 whitewash of Belmont Charter School out of District 12. Both these teams, easy victories last week. 2 weeks ago, they were in dogfights. Clairton, that tight 8-6 victory over Laurel in the WPIAL championship game. And meanwhile, Bishop Guilfoyle in the PIAA quarterfinals, a 7-6 victory over Westinghouse. So both teams struggled 2 weeks ago. Both teams uber impressive last week. This is the third time the Bears and Marauders will be meeting in the PIAA championship game. Both previous meetings have gone the way of Bishop Guilfoyle Academy. 2014, heartbreak loss for Clairton as they fell to Bishop Guilfoyle 19-18, had a chance late in the game, but they were stopped on 4th and goal. Turned out to be the winning defensive stand for the Marauders. In that game, then sophomore Lamont Wade rushed for 212 yards, but the Bears lost 19-18 to Bishop Guilfoyle Academy. Same 2 teams met 2 years later in the 2016 state championship. Not as dramatic. 4 turnovers did not help Clairton as they were shut out 17-0 by Bishop Guilfoyle Academy. Great defensive effort by the Marauders, limiting then senior Lamont Wade to 70 yards rushing. It was the first time Clairton had been shut out in a football game since 2003, 13 years back in 2006. So Bears a little bit of a chip on their shoulder as they try to, they hope the third time is a charm as they try to knock off Bishop Guilfoyle. Both these teams, great tradition in the state playoffs. Clairton is 19-7 overall, and they are 4-3 in state championship games, winning 4 straight, 2009 to 2012, beating Bishop McCourt in 2009, Taylor Riverside in 2010, Southern Columbia in 2011, and the Bucks of Dunmore in 2012. Bishop Guilfoyle, they are 16-3 overall in the state playoffs, 5-1 in state championship games. The 2 victories over Clairton in 2014 and 2016. They beat Farrell in 2015, Red Bank Valley in 2021, and last year knocked off Port Allegheny in 2024. Their only loss was in the 2019 title game to the Farrell Steelers. So a lot of tradition, a lot of success, a lot of gold between Bishop Guilfoyle Academy and Clairton. They kick off Thursday, 1 o'clock. You can hear that game here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, as well as the Avonworth game or on Saturday at 1 o'clock, and the Central Catholic game on Saturday at 7 p.m., courtesy of the new PIAA radio network. All right, there's 3 other games, lest we forget. The finale at 7 p.m. on Thursday is the 4A championship game. We're talking about tradition. Claret Bishop Guilfoyle will be talking soon about another matchup of great traditional powers in Farrell, Southern Columbia. Zero tradition with the 4A championship game. Twin Valley taking on Southern Lehigh. Southern Lehigh, champions of District 11, have a 14-1 record. A undefeated season for the District 3 champion Raiders of Twin Valley. They are 14-0. It is the first PIAA championship game for both Southern Lehigh and Twin Valley. Twin Valley coming off a semifinal victory over Aliquippa last week, 28-24, to reach the PIAA playoffs for PIAA championship for the very first time. That's the 7 p.m. game Thursday, Twin Valley against Southern Lehigh. Avonworth against Northwestern Lehigh isn't the only rematch on the docket. In fact, the other game last year that went into overtime, we get the rematch in Class 5A. Bishop McDevitt, champions of District 3, record of 12-1, taking on Roman Catholic, the District 12 champions, the Cahillites, with a record of 11-3. They met last year, and in overtime, Bishop McDevitt 34, Roman Catholic 31. Both those overtime games in 3A and 5A a year ago decided by 3 points. Bishop McDevitt is searching for their 4th PIAA championship. Their first came 30 years ago. They defeated Burrell in the 1995 PIAA championship game. 2022, they knocked off Aliquippa, and then last year beating Roman Catholic. Roman Catholic, that was their very first state championship game last year, so they are 0-1 in the finals. That game is Friday night at 7 o'clock. And the early game Friday, the 2A championship game, is Farrell, the District 10 champions at 12-2, going up against District 4 power Southern Columbia. The Tigers are 14-1. Farrell all-time in state championship games is 4-2. Their 4 wins, 2 of them coming against Southern Columbia. So this is the 3rd time that the Steelers and Tigers have met in the state finals. 1995, 30 years ago, and 1996, 29 years ago. Back-to-back, Farrell defeated Southern Columbia. The Steelers knocked off Lackawanna Trail in the 2018 finals, and then a year later they beat Bishop Guilfoyle Academy in the 2019 finals for their 4th state championship. They're looking for number 5. Meanwhile, number 5 for Southern Columbia came about 30-some years ago. The Tigers are 14-8. 14-8 in state championship games. Remarkable. 22. This is the 23rd state championship game and the state championships began 1988. So that's 37 years? And they've been in 22 of them. 14-8. Some of the local teams that they've defeated, their first victory over a WPL team in the state championship was over Western Beaver. They've knocked off Rochester twice, Old Duquesne High School, Aliquippa, Avonworth, Sarah Catholic, and recently the back-to-back championships over Westinghouse for Southern Columbia. 1 p.m., Farrell against Southern Columbia in the 2A championship. So, again, all 3 games involving WPL teams can be heard here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. 1 o'clock Thursday for Claret Bishop Guilfoyle Academy. 1 o'clock Saturday for Avonworth and Northwestern Lehigh. And 7 p.m. Saturday, the final high school football game of the year, the Central Catholic Vikings and the Explorers from LaSalle College. This is our last football preview podcast. We will still have, hopefully, a Team of the Week and a Player of the Week podcast this weekend. We will have on Sunday our recap of the state championships coming up podcast. And then we will, next week, we'll be sort of wrapping up our football coverage. On the website, we will have our Trib 25 All-Star team, our head of the class, our players of each class, players of the year, and coach of the year in each classification. And we will have our player of the year. That's all coming up next weekend on our website. And we'll have a podcast featuring our WPIAL player of the year. Thanks to the good folks at Edgar Snyder and Associates for their continued support of high school sports here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network. Thanks to Chris Lackner. I'm Don Rebel. We thank you. Enjoy, whether it's football or if you've made the switch already, the transition to winter sports and basketball coming up. Enjoy it. Go support your local high school team. It's the Rebel Yell podcast on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.